The Resolute shook as the enemy boarding pods locked onto the hull. Metal claws dug deep into the ship's skin. A loud thud echoed through every corridor. Inside, the crew waited with weapons ready. They were outnumbered. They knew it, but none of them were afraid. Captain Stone stood in the main corridor, his pulse steady. He held the small metal cube in one hand, the failsafe. If the Empire tried to take the ship, he would destroy everything. Lieutenant Mason's voice came over the intercom. "Captain, the first hatch is breached. Xyler soldiers are entering Deck 3. Hold them there as long as you can," he said. "Everyone else fall back to the core chamber." Deck 3, the first Class A hatch exploded inward. Black-armored Xyler troops stormed through the smoke, their rifles glowing red. Human defenders opened fire. Blue plasma bolts cut across the darkness. The Xyler soldiers moved like shadows. They returned fire in tight formations. Sparks flew from the walls.
Oh.
A human engineer fell, clutching his side. Lieutenant Mason crouched behind a bulkhead, firing shot after shot. She spoke calmly into her headset. "We are slowing them down, Captain, but they are pushing forward." Deck 2. The advanced more Xyler soldiers cut through a second hatch. They poured into the corridors. One human crewman pulled out a small grenade. He looked at the others and nodded. He waited until the enemy was close, then he threw it. A bright blue flash filled the hallway. Xyler armor sparked and went dark. 3 soldiers collapsed, but more kept coming. Step by step, they advanced toward the core chamber. The core chamber Captain Stone stood in front of the glass window. The blue core pulsed bright and alive. He turned to the engineer beside him. "Are the failsafe controls ready?" "Yes, sir," the engineer said, voice shaking. "One command, and the core will overload." Captain Stone nodded. Deck 3. The last defense Lieutenant Mason and her team fell back, fighting around every corner. Smoke filled the air. Sparks rained down from broken lights. Finally, she reached the inner blast doors. She hit the control pad and heavy steel barriers slammed shut behind her. She leaned against the wall, breathing hard. "Captain, we're in position," she said. "Good," Captain Stone replied. "Seal the chamber. No one else gets through." Outside the Resolute space, the Empire warships stopped firing. Commander Varak watched on his screens. He saw the boarding parties moving deeper into the human vessel. He turned to his officers. "Tell the Emperor that victory is close," he said. "Soon, we will have their technology." Inside the Resolute core chamber, the blast doors shook. As the Xyler soldiers tried to cut through, bright sparks burst along the seams. Soon the doors would fail. Captain Stone looked at his crew. Lieutenant Mason, the engineer. 3 young defenders with rifles. All of them were ready to die. He raised the metal cube. "If they break in, I will activate this," he said. "Everyone understand?" They nodded. The Emperor's palace, the Emperor watched through a live feed, saw the black armored soldiers breaking the last barrier. His cold smile grew. "Capture the humans alive," he ordered. "I want to look into their eyes when they beg." Inside the Resolute final moments, the blast doors sparked again. Metal bent inward. A hole appeared. Red eyes looked through. Xyler. Soldiers raised their weapons. Captain Stone closed his hand around the cube. "Lieutenant." Mason lifted her rifle. The engineer whispered, "Sir, now." Captain Stone took a breath. "Not yet." Suddenly an alarm blared on the Xyler side. Bright blue wave pulsed out from the core. It struck the soldiers like a storm. Their armor shorted out. Weapons went dead. They collapsed one by one, stunned by the energy surge. Silence fell. The crew looked at each other in shock. The engineer turned to the captain. "I don't know what happened," he gasped. "The core, it defended itself." Captain Stone stepped forward. He looked through the gap in the blast door. Xyler soldiers lay motionless. Slowly he lowered the cube. "Check them," he said calmly. "Make sure none can move." Lieutenant Mason exhaled in relief. That was close. In the Emperor's palace, the Emperor's screen went black. Static filled the air. He stared in rage. "What did they do?" he shouted. "How?" No one could answer. On the resolute Captain Stone placed his hand on the glass, feeling the blue core's pulse. For the first time, he realized this power was not just a weapon, it was something alive. He turned to his crew, voice steady. "We hold this ship," he said, "no matter what comes next." And in that moment, the Empire understood the humans were far more dangerous than they had ever believed. Inside the grand palace of the Xyler Empire, silence filled the war chamber. The Emperor stood before the giant screen, his yellow eyes blazing. He had watched his soldiers fall, watched the humans survive. What should have been impossible, his council dared not speak. No one moved. Finally, his voice broke the silence, cold, sharp as a blade. "Commander Varak," he hissed, "explain to me how one ship defeated our best troops." On the screen, Commander Varak looked pale. He swallowed hard. "Your Highness." "Their core released an energy wave. It disabled our weapons. It is not technology we understand." The Emperor's claws tapped the stone table. "Not technology you understand," he repeated slowly. "Then you will find a way to understand it, or you will die." Commander Varak bowed low, his voice shaking. "Yes, Your Highness." On the Resolute, the crew worked quickly. They sealed the breached hatches and dragged the unconscious Xyler soldiers into a storage hold. Lieutenant Mason wiped sweat from her forehead. Her voice came over the intercom. "Captain, all intruders secured. No sign of more boarding parties." Captain Stone nodded. "Good work. Any damage to the null field?" The engineer checked the readings. "Field stable, sir," he said, "but energy reserves are dropping faster now." "How much time?" "Maybe 5 hours at best." Captain Stone looked at the pulsing blue core behind the glass. He could feel it like a heart beating. It had saved them once. But would it save them again? In the Emperor's palace, the Emperor turned to his science ministers. "You will study every recording, every sensor reading, every detail," he commanded. "I want a weapon that can shatter their field." The scientists bowed low, too afraid to speak. Then the Emperor faced his war generals. "Mobilize the fleet," he said. "Every ship we have, every cannon, every fighter. Bring them here." One general's eyes went wide. "Your Highness?" "All of them. All," the Emperor hissed. "The humans wish to stand alone against us. We will drown them in fire." He stepped closer to the screen. His voice was a whisper of rage. "I will not be mocked by primitives." On the Resolute, the ship drifted quietly in the darkness. No enemy fire came. No more boarding craft. But Captain Stone knew it was not over. He called the crew to the main deck. They gathered around him, tired, bruised. But standing strong, he looked each of them in the eye. "This is what the Empire does," he said. "They think if they attack in great numbers, they cannot lose." He held up a small data pad. It showed hundreds of red dots moving on the map, every warship the Empire had. "Coming their way, they will try to crush us all at once." He continued, "But remember this. They are afraid." Lieutenant Mason nodded slowly. "They know we have something they cannot explain." On the Empire flagship, Commander Varak stood on his bridge, watching the fleet assemble. More ships arrived. Every minute, sea of weapons, all pointed at one target. He tried to hide the fear in his voice. "Form battle lines. No mistakes. The Emperor is watching." His second-in-command looked at the display. "Sir, even if we destroy them, what if more humans come?" Varak's jaw tightened. "Then we will destroy them too," he said. In his heart, he was not sure. Inside, the Resolute Captain Stone turned away from the screen. "We have hours before they arrive," he said. "Use the time well. Rest. Repair. Prepare." The crew nodded and left to follow orders. Only Lieutenant Mason stayed behind. She looked at the swirling blue core. Her voice was soft. "Sir, do you think we can win?" Captain Stone did not answer. Right away, he placed his hand on the glass, feeling the hum of energy. "Not by their rules," he said quietly. "But we are humans. We make our own rules." Far away, the Emperor watched the fleet forming. His lips curled into a cruel smile. When dawn comes, he whispered, I will erase them from the stars. And in that moment, the greatest armada ever built moved to destroy one human ship. The Resolute drifted through the darkness. Its engines were silent. No signals escaped its hull. It was like a ghost ship moving deeper into enemy space. Inside the Empire's command station, Commander Varrock did not feel calm anymore. He stared. At the main screen, his claws tapping the metal floor. Show me that signal again, he ordered. A sensor officer replayed the scan. A tiny blip appeared in the black sky, moved in a straight line toward the Empire's central planet. It's the same shape, the officer said. But we cannot track it for long. Commander Varrock's red eyes flickered. It is not debris, he said. No rock flies like that. He turned to the communications desk. Alert the Emperor, he growled. The officer looked nervous. Sir, the Emperor said. I do not care what he said, Varrock snapped. If this is a human ship, he must know. The officer pressed a button. A tall hologram of the Emperor appeared in the room. The yellow-eyed ruler did not look pleased. Commander Varrock, the Emperor said, his voice cold, why are you interrupting my council? Varrock bowed low. Your Highness, I have reason to believe a human vessel is inside our borders. Emperor's thin mouth curled into a smile. You believe? He repeated softly. Do you have proof? Varrock straightened. We have readings, a shape too big for debris. It moves like a ship. The Emperor leaned forward in his hologram. You have already sent scouts? Yes? Yes, Your Highness, Varrock said. They found nothing. Then you waste my time, the Emperor said. He waved his hand. The hologram vanished. In the command station, Varrock clenched his jaw. He knew what he saw. And he knew the Emperor's. Arrogance could cost them. Far away on the Resolute. Captain Stone watched the star map. A web of red dots marked the Empire's patrol routes. The biggest dot was the main planet where the Emperor lived. Target distance, he asked. Lieutenant Mason checked her screen. 30,000 kilometers, she said. At this speed, we will reach their defense line in 10 minutes. Captain. Stone nodded. Activate the null field, he said. The engineer's hand shook as he typed in the command. A loud hum filled the ship. Blue light poured from the core behind the glass window. Every screen flickered. Power levels rising. The engineer called out. Field expanding. Captain Stone felt the vibration under his boots. This was the moment of truth. Back on the Empire station. Commander Varrock's sensors lit up all at once. Alarms screamed. Red lights flashed. Commander, the officer shouted. Massive energy spike, it's right in front of us. Put it on the screen, Varrock roared. The main screen filled with an image. A dark human ship drifting slowly. Blue energy waves rippled around it like water. Varrock's mouth went dry. Impossible, he whispered. The Emperor's hologram reappeared without being called. His eyes burned like fire. What is that? He demanded. Varrock swallowed. Human vessel, Your Highness. It has some kind of energy field. The Emperor's voice turned to ice. Destroy it, he ordered. Destroy it now, inside the Resolute. Captain Stone stood tall. Broadcast the message, said calmly. Lieutenant Mason pressed a button. Across every Empire channel, a single human voice spoke in perfect Xyler language. This is Captain Elias Stone of Earth. We are here to end your rule. Surrender, or be silenced. In the command station, everyone froze. No human had ever spoken to them like that. Commander Varrock turned to his officers. Launch all attack ships, he shouted. Fire everything, the Emperor's hologram flickered. His face twisted in rage. No mercy, he hissed. End them. Out. On the Resolute. Captain Stone watched hundreds of Empire ships turning toward them. Red lights flashed as weapons powered up. Lieutenant Mason looked at him with wide eyes. Sir, they're coming. Captain Stone's voice was quiet but strong. Hold steady. Let them come. He placed his hand on the glass window. The blue core pulsed brighter, almost alive, and in that moment, the Empire realized. Humans had brought something they could not understand. The Resolute drifted through the darkness. Its engines were silent. No signals escaped its hull. It was like a ghost ship moving deeper into enemy space. Inside the Empire's command station, Commander Varric did not feel calm anymore. He stared at the main screen, his claws tapping the metal floor. "Show me that signal again," he ordered. A sensor officer replayed the scan. A tiny blip appeared in the black sky. It moved in a straight line toward the Empire's central planet. "It's the same shape," the officer said, "but we cannot track it for long." Commander Varrac's red eyes flickered. "It is not debris," he said. "No rock flies like that." He turned to the communications desk. "Alert the Emperor," he growled. The officer looked nervous. "Sir," the Emperor said. "I do not care what he said," Varric snapped. "If this is a human ship, he must know." The officer pressed a button. A tall hologram of the Emperor appeared in the room. The yellow-eyed ruler did not look pleased. "Commander Varrock," the Emperor said, his voice cold, "why are you interrupting my council?" Varrock bowed low. "Your Highness, I have reason to believe a human vessel is inside our borders." Emperor's thin mouth curled into a smile. "You believe?" he repeated softly. "Do you have proof?" Varric straightened. "We have readings, a shape too big for debris. It moves like a ship." The Emperor leaned forward in his hologram. "You have already sent scouts? Yes?" "Yes, Your Highness," Varric said. "They found nothing." "Then you waste my time," the Emperor said. He waved his hand. The hologram vanished. In the command station, Varric clenched his jaw. He knew what he saw. And he knew the Emperor's. Arrogance could cost them. Far away, on the Resolute. Captain Stone watched the star map. A web of red dots marked the Empire's patrol routes. The biggest dot was the main planet, where the Emperor lived. "Target distance?" he asked. Lieutenant Mason checked her screen. 30,000 kilometers, she said. "At this speed, we will reach their defense line in 10 minutes. "Captain." Stone nodded. "Activate the null field," he said. The engineer's hand shook as he typed in the command. A loud hum filled the ship. Blue light poured from the core behind the glass window. Every screen flickered. Power levels rising. The engineer called out, "Field expanding." Captain Stone felt the vibration under his boots. This was the moment of truth. Back on the Empire station, Commander Varrac's sensors lit up all at once. Alarms screamed. Red lights flashed. "Commander," the officer shouted. "Massive energy spike. It's right in front of us." "Put it on the screen," Varric roared. The main screen filled with an image. A dark human ship drifting slowly. Blue energy waves rippled around it like water. Varrac's mouth went dry. "Impossible," he whispered. The Emperor's hologram reappeared without being called. His eyes burned like fire. "What is that?" he demanded. Varric swallowed. "Human vessel, Your Highness. It has some kind of energy field." The Emperor's voice turned to ice. "Destroy it," he ordered. "Destroy it now, inside the Resolute." Captain Stone stood tall. "Broadcast the message," said calmly. Lieutenant Mason pressed a button. Across every Empire channel, a single human voice spoke in perfect Xylar language. "This is Captain Elias Stone of Earth. We are here to end your rule. Surrender, or be silenced." In the command station, everyone froze. No human had ever spoken to them like that. Commander Varric turned to his officers. "Launch all attack ships," he shouted. "Fire everything." The Emperor's hologram flickered. His face twisted in rage. "No mercy," he hissed. "End them." Out. On the Resolute. Captain Stone watched hundreds of Empire ships turning toward them. Red lights flashed as weapons powered up. Lieutenant Mason looked at him with wide eyes. "Sir, they're coming." Captain Stone's voice was quiet but strong. "Hold steady. Let them come." He placed his hand on the glass window. The blue core pulsed brighter, almost alive. And in that moment, the Empire realized humans had brought something they could not understand. The Xylar Empire was the most powerful force in the galaxy. Their ships were as big as cities, and their weapons could destroy planets in minutes. No other species dared to fight them. In the Empire's Grand Palace, the Emperor sat on his tall, black throne. He was an old, cruel being with yellow eyes and a thin mouth that almost never smiled. But today he was laughing all around him. Giant screens showed videos of Earth. The screens played clips of human spaceships crashing engines, burning, and pilots shouting for help. The Emperor's laughter echoed across the golden walls. "Look at these little creatures," he said. His voice was cold and sharp. "They think they are explorers. They think they can cross my empire." His council of admirals and ministers stood in a line below the throne. None of them dared to speak. One young admiral tried to hide his nervousness. He looked at a small screen in his hand, showing a tiny blue dot moving in deep space. "Your Highness," he said quietly, "the humans are learning. They have new ships." The Emperor turned his yellow eyes on the young admiral. For a moment, the hall became silent. Everyone held their breath. "New ships," the Emperor repeated slowly. "And what do you think these new ships will do?" The young admiral swallowed. "They might try to enter our borders." The Emperor stood up. His long black robe touched the floor as he walked down the steps. He stopped in front of the young officer and tilted his head. "Tell me," he said, his voice low, "why should I fear humans who cannot even keep their engines running?" He turned back to the screens. Another video showed a human spaceship losing power, tumbled through space like a broken toy. The Emperor raised one hand, and the video stopped. "Humans," he said, "are weak. They have small minds. They build toys, not war machines. It is impossible for them to threaten us." The other admirals nodded. Some even smiled, trying to please him. Outside the palace windows, thousands of Xylar warships floated in orbit. Their metal hulls were dark and full of weapons. From space, they looked like a ring of teeth around the Empire's capital planet. No human ship had ever made it past that ring. Not even close. In a dark corner of the room, an old science minister spoke up. Her voice was soft but serious. "Your Highness, it is true, the humans are not as strong as we are. But sometimes weakness makes them desperate. Desperate creatures can be dangerous." The Emperor waved his hand. "Enough," he said. "I will not listen to foolish warnings today." He walked back to his throne and sat down. "Admiral Drax," he called. A tall, silver-skinned admiral stepped forward. His armor shone under the palace lights. "Double quotes, yes, Your Highness," Admiral Drax said. "If any human ship dares to come here," the Emperor said, "I want it destroyed. No survivors." Admiral Drax bowed. "It will be done." The Emperor looked around the hall. "From this moment," he declared, "all human signals will be ignored. Let them scream into the void. We will not answer." All the ministers and admirals shouted together, "Yes, Your Highness." Outside, the Xylar fleet began a silent watch. Every scanner was ready, every cannon was charged. The Empire believed nothing could surprise them, but far away in the cold blackness beyond the border, something was moving. It was a single ship, small compared to the Empire's warships, but different from all the other human vessels the Empire had seen. This ship had no bright lights, no loud signals. Its engines made no sound the Xylar sensors could detect. Inside the ship, Captain Elias Stone looked at a star map on a screen. His eyes were steady, and his face was set in a hard line. "We are close now," he said to his crew. A young woman at the controls nodded. "Stealth mode is working, sir. No one knows we are here." Captain Stone leaned back in his chair. Knew the risks. He knew the Empire would destroy them if they were discovered. But he also knew this mission was their only hope. Deep in the ship's core, a strange power source pulsed with blue light. No human ship had ever carried such energy before. Back on the Empire's main planet, one Xylar sensor officer frowned. "Commander," she said, pointing at her screen, "I'm picking up something." The commander walked over and looked. "At the signal, it's probably space debris," he said. "Ignore it." But the officer hesitated. The signal was too steady, too strong, far away. The shadow of the human ship drifted closer and closer to the Empire's mighty fleet, and in the darkness of space, a quiet promise was born. Humans were coming. This time, they would not fail. Human ship was called the Resolute. Did not look like much from the outside. Its metal hull was scratched and dark. No bright flags or markings showed where it came from, but inside was something the Xylar Empire had never seen. Captain Elias Stone stood in the control room. He was tall and had gray in his hair, but his eyes were sharp and cold. All around him, the crew worked in silence. He looked at them one by one. Young faces, tired faces, but no one showed fear. "This is the edge of their space," he said quietly. "If the Empire discovers us now, we die." No one moved. No one argued. They all knew. Lieutenant Kara Mason, the woman at the controls, spoke. "Stealth engines are holding steady, sir. They cannot see us." Captain Stone nodded. "Good. Keep our power low. The moment we show up on their scanners, it's over." In the back of the room, an engineer checked a small monitor.
"Our blue lines."
Moved across the screen in slow waves. He swallowed nervously. "Captain," he said, "the core is stable, but it's active. I think it knows we're close, Captain." Stone walked over to the glass window behind the engineer. Beyond the thick glass was a sphere of bright blue light. It pulsed like a heartbeat. Every time it glowed, the whole ship seemed to hum. "No one has ever used this power," he whispered. "It's the only thing that can stop them." He looked back at his crew. "All of you remember, if this fails, there is no second chance. Earth will fall. We are it." The room was silent. Every person understood. They were not just soldiers. They were the last hope. Far away on the Empire's command station, alarms started to blink. A sensor officer sat up straighter in his chair. "Commander," he said, "that ghost signal, it's back." Xylar commander turned slowly. His red eyes narrowed. "Show me." The screen filled with a black field of stars, and there, in the corner, a tiny shape moved against the darkness. It was almost invisible, almost enhanced the image the commander ordered. The shape grew larger on the screen. Long, dark, smooth lines, no lights, no transmissions. "It's too big for debris," the officer whispered. The commander stared at the screen. He tapped his long claw against the console. "Send a scout team. Find it. Destroy it if you must." "Yes, Commander." In the Resolute, Captain Stone saw the same scout ships launching from the Empire fleet. Small lights appeared in the distance, moving fast. Lieutenant Mason's voice was tense. "They're scanning. They know something is here." "Captain." Stone closed his eyes for a moment. He thought of Earth. He thought of the billions of people waiting, hoping. He thought of the Empire laughing. "Engines to minimum power," he ordered. No lights, no movement. The Resolute went completely dark. Inside, only the blue core glowed faintly behind the glass. Outside, the Xylar scout ships passed by. Their sensors swept the darkness, but they did not see the Resolute drifting just beyond their lights. One scout ship came so close the crew could see its hull, long claws, black armor, glowing red eyes painted on the side. Everyone held their breath. No one spoke. After what felt like forever, the scout ships turned away. They flew back to their fleet. On the Empire station, the commander watched their return. "Port," he demanded. "No contact," the scout leader said. "Nothing found." Commander looked at the screen one more time. He did not trust it. But he said nothing. On the Resolute, the crew slowly exhaled. Lieutenant Mason looked at Captain Stone. "We can still turn back," she whispered. Captain Stone shook his head. "No. We go forward." He turned to face the blue sphere behind the glass. "Prepare the null field," he said. The engineers' hands shook. "Sir, once we power it up, the Empire will see us." Captain Stone nodded. "Let them see," he said, his voice calm. "It is time they understand what humans can do." Deep in the ship's core, the blue light brightened. The hum grew louder, almost like a voice calling from the dark, and in that moment, the impossible mission truly began. The Resolute drifted in the darkness. Outside, thousands of enemy ships glowed like red stars, the biggest fleet ever built, ready to attack. Inside, the human crew worked in silence. They checked every weapon. They patched every damaged wall. They knew this was the last stand. Captain Stone stood in the command chair. He watched the red dots on the screen growing closer. "Port," he said calmly. The engineer's voice was tense. "Energy reserves down to 20%. Null fields still active." Lieutenant Mason turned from her console. "Sir, the Empire is broadcasting again?" Captain Stone nodded. "Put it on." The Emperor's voice filled the bridge. Smooth, cold, full of hate. "Humans, you have fought well for insects, but this ends now. Surrender your ship, surrender your secret, or be destroyed." Captain Stone pressed the transmit button. His voice was steady. "We will not surrender." A silence followed. Then the Emperor spoke one last time. "So be it." Outside, the Empire's fleet began to move. Rows and rows of warships drifted into position. Cannons glowed bright red. Fighter squadrons spread out like a black cloud. Commander Varric stood on the bridge of the flagship. His hands trembled as he raised them. "All ships, prepare to fire." Inside, the resolute Lieutenant Mason swallowed hard. "Sir, what do we do now?" Captain Stone turned to face the crew. His eyes were calm. "We will hold." Looked at the blue core behind the glass. Its light was dimmer now, but it still pulsed, dash alive. He touched the come button. "All stations hold fire until my command." Outside, the flagship's cannons reached full charge. Commander Varrock took a breath. Fire. The darkness exploded. Thousands of beams shot. Forward. Red light filled the space between the fleets. Every cannon, every gun, every fighter fired as one. The Resolute was swallowed in the storm. Inside the Resolute, the ship shook like it would break apart. Alarms screamed. Sparks flew from the walls. The engineer shouted over the noise. "Null field at maximum. Core output critical." Captain Stone gripped the rail. "Hold." Second after second, the beams crashed against the blue field. Each strike took more energy. The core glowed brighter and brighter, like a star ready to explode. "Lieutenant." Mason turned, her face pale. "Surf, this keeps going. The core will overload." Captain Stone looked at the swirling energy. "Better we burn than surrender." Outside, the Empire's gunners watched in disbelief. The human ship still floated there, small, lone, but unbroken. Commander Varrac's voice was hoarse. "Increase power. Destroy them." Inside the Resolute, the engineer stared at his display. Certain seconds until core failure. Captain Stone closed his eyes. "Then we do this our way." He reached for the manual override. Lieutenant Mason gasped. "Sir, what are you doing, ending this?" His hand pressed the override switch. Suddenly the blue core flared with blinding light. Every sensor in the Empire's fleet went black. Screens filled with static. Communications died. A massive wave of energy shot out in every direction. From space, it looked like a blue sun exploding. The wave struck every Empire ship. Their weapons went dark. Engines failed. Shields dropped. Commander Varrock felt the power. Slam into his flagship. Lights died. Gravity vanished. His ship drifted, dead in space. On the Resolute, the shaking stopped. The alarms went silent. The crew looked around, breathing hard. Lieutenant Mason whispered, "Sir, what happened?" Captain Stone lowered his hand from the switch. He looked at the dim blue core. "It gave everything," he said quietly. Outside, the Empire's fleet floated powerless. Thousands of ships. No lights, no weapons, just silence. And the Emperor's palace screens went dark one by one. Visors stared in horror. The Emperor stood frozen, claws digging into the arm of his throne. "Possible," he whispered, on the Resolute Captain Stone. Turned to his crew. "Send this message," he said. Lieutenant Mason nodded, her hand trembling as she typed. "To the Empire. You came with your strongest fleet. You failed. Leave this system now. You will never return." In the darkness of space, the Empire's fleet drifted. It's powerless before one small ship. And for the first time in 1,000 years, the Empire was afraid. In the darkness of space, The Resolute drifted alone. The blue core behind the glass was silent now, dim, empty. But the ship still lived. The crew watched their screens. Every Empire ship floated dead and powerless. No lights, no weapons, no movement. On the Resolute's bridge, Lieutenant Mason slowly removed her headset. "Sir." No response. "Their fleet is disabled." Captain Stone nodded. He felt both relief and sadness. "They came to destroy us," he said quietly. "But they forgot something." He looked at each of his people, tired, wounded, alive. "We are human. Do not surrender." In the Emperor's palace, the Emperor stared at blank screens. Advisors stood frozen. No one spoke. Then the cum officer turned with shaking hands. "Your Highness, we are receiving a transmission." The Emperor's eyes narrowed. "Play it." Message appeared on every Empire channel, every screen and every ship, every broadcast tower on every world. Captain Stone's calm face filled the display. Behind him, the Resolute floated strong and unbeaten. His voice was clear and steady. "To the Xylar Empire. And all who hear this message, you came here to show your power. You came to crush us. You came because you thought humans were weak. You were wrong. This is the last warning. If you attack again, you will not find us unprepared. You will find an enemy who will never kneel. You think it is impossible for humans to win? You think it is impossible for humans to survive? Remember today. Remember. This ship, remember that impossible means nothing to us." Across the galaxy, millions watched in shock. Some were afraid, some were inspired. Some had been waiting for a reason to stand up to the Empire. On a mining world far away, a young mechanic watched the message on a dusty screen. His heart beat faster. "If they can fight," he whispered, "maybe we can too." On the Resolute, Lieutenant Mason turned to Captain Stone. "Sir, the transmission went out to every known channel, even neutral worlds," Goodstone said. "Someone needed to hear it." The engineer looked at the dim core. "Sir, without the core we don't have much power left." Captain Stone smiled just a little. "Then we drift home," he said. "And when we get there, we build again." In the Emperor's palace, the Emperor's claws dug into his throne. "Find out how they did it," he whispered in rage. "Find their worlds. We will not be humiliated again." But inside, even he felt something he had never known before. Doubt. On the Resolute, the crew gathered at the observation window. Stars stretched out before them, silent, endless. Lieutenant Mason's voice was soft. "We made it," she said, "Captain." Stone nodded. "We did more than survive," he answered. We proved the Empire can bleed." As the ship turned slowly toward home, quiet thought filled the hearts of everyone watching across the stars. If the humans can fight the Empire, maybe we are not alone. And so, with one impossible victory, humanity changed the galaxy forever.